Amongst anything else, I think Hollow Knight is a game that everybody should try. I think Hollow Knight is a masterpiece. That being said, switching over to Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight is the best Metroidvania ever for a lot of different reasons, in my opinion. So hold on, we're gonna switch this up. What is the freaking base in Hollow Knight? What is the home called? Dirt Mound? There we go. We can get the Dirt Mouth theme while I'm talking about it. Reasons why I believe it's the best Metroidvania. So number one, they've got the formula down to a T. You have your typical exploration. You have abilities you gain along the way. These abilities allow you to traverse and reach different areas. If you couldn't reach this platform up here before, you now have a double jump where you can reach this platform. If you couldn't get past this particular area, you get a wall climbing ability where you can now jump over that. You couldn't reach this area over here, now you have an extra jump, or you can float, or then you have the crystal dash and all these extra things. So it allows for more exploration. It encourages more exploration. And then there's a lot of secrets. Like, I think to have a really good Metroidvania game that's immersive, that's adventurous, and really takes the theme of Metroid and, of course, the Castlevania theme. Metroid was more environmental storytelling and kind of unlockable abilities that help you get through the game. And Castlevania was more, secrets and things that you find that'll help you. Like Metroid, the original Metroid had that. Or you had energy tanks that you could find. So those are your secrets. You have your missiles, enhancements that are secrets. But Castlevania, I think, did it a little bit better in later games where now you're finding secret rooms. And then you have extra weapons that you can unlock. So I think, both of them share and complement each other. And then Hollow Knight, I think, maximizes that well, because not only do you have breakable walls, not only are there secrets, not only are there hints to give different charms and talk to different NPCs, it really lets you explore quite a bit better when you're looking at the map. And then when you have a game that has a currency system like Hollow Knight does, where you buy certain charms to help you maximize the type of gameplay that you want, or you have certain charms that allow you to view the map in a certain way. And this is something I never really agree with in certain games, where you have to buy markers. Like Hollow Knight, you have to buy markers. And I think as I played more games, especially when Breath of the Wild came out, markers were important because you end up forgetting where you've traversed in the map. So you place a marker, or you place a little key down, so it tells you, or you have a little note to yourself, I need to go back to revisit this particular area, whether it's a secret, whether it's a chest you couldn't unlock, whether it's a door you couldn't open. In Hollow Knight, you have to actually spend currency to buy those markers. So I don't really like that. I like that you should have it in the beginning of the game. And you just should have, I think you should have an unlimited amount, to be honest. But most games give you a certain amount, so that way you have to strategically use those markers. And then, it kind of forces you to go back to areas that you placed the markers and revisit them. And if you end up accomplishing whatever task you set out back in those areas, you remove the markers and then they're back in your inventory again. Cinnamon Toast Crunch, how we doing? You are the best cereal. You're not my favorite cereal, but I will let you claim that you are the best cereal. How have you been? Also, SilkSong I, I was just talking about it. We just watched the two video trailers that have came out. I'm going to post this to my YouTube channel probably in the next couple days. This conversation we're happening. I'm actually going to play Hollow Knight tonight. As much as every time I've recently tried to go back to Hollow Knight, I've never been able to sit through it for more than an hour, because I've played so much Hollow Knight that I think I mentally have permanently burnt myself out of that game, even though it's one of my favorites. It's something that I don't even know if I'll beat it today, depending on if I remember some of the tricks and stuff. But I'm going to actually, play it tonight after I discuss this. So SilkSong I, who the hell knows, man? Who the hell knows? Like, we have gotten nothing for a while from Team Cherry. That's what I was saying. So the last announcement or last anything of SilkSong was, it said Xbox Showcase, which was, I think, June 2022. So it's been over 2 years since we had anything. And that was actually just in the Xbox Showcase. So we haven't gotten a new trailer. We haven't gotten any news. It's all been hidden. So maybe, hopefully, God willing, I speak this into existence, and within another week or so, we get something about the game. So back to Hollow Knight. Another reason why I think it's a phenomenal game, and one of the why I think it's the best Metroidvania, is also what Metroid does very well, which is in its theme setting and its storytelling through traversing the world. So very similar to like the old Souls games, like not some of the spin-off stuff, where you have story that's scattered throughout the world based in lore. And lore in Hollow Knight can be based on charms, it can be based on NPCs, it can be based on the location, it can be based on certain items that you get, it can be based on bosses. So you kind of piece it all together. And I'm not really one that really understands the majority of lore as I'm playing through these types of games. But when you find that one hint that leads to one thing, that leads to one thing that you realize is something else, it really is like a wow, holy crap, that was a really cool reveal, or holy crap, I never anticipated. Like, when you end up finding secrets like that, like in Hollow Knight, when you discover the path of pain, which I was not able to discover on my own, but when you go to I almost said White Castle, when you go to the White Palace, right? And then you realize that the king is pretty much has a corpse out in the front, and then you use the dream to go into the past, more or less. And then when you find the hidden room, and then it's just like, I don't know if this is a torture chamber, I don't know if this is trials to be like the king. Like, you unlock certain things where it's just like, damn, that's pretty damn awesome. Like, dang, what could they even be working on? I can only assume something went wrong in their coding and something else happened that caused this, and they don't want to tell the public for some reason. That could be part of it, where they ran it. I mean, it said in the Wikipedia that there was an announcement that the game was, I forget who said it, the game was supposed to be planned to release in early 2023, and then they had to delay it due to development. And to your point, that could mean anything, right? So it could be bugs. It could be they want to have a perfect game. They could be playtesting. It could be maybe they wanted to change some stuff. Because typically what will happen in a lot of games that are indie, if there is a longer delayed process, whether it's 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 2 years, usually the game adds a bit more polish as they're working out bugs and kinks. So maybe the video that we saw for the last trailer for SilkSong in 2022, maybe the game looks even better because they want to expand upon what they've already built since then. Maybe they're, factoring in extra levels and content, or maybe you can do different characters. Who knows? Who knows? But it's going to be more of what we already want and expect from Hollow Knight. That's for sure. What else? Is there anything else to talk about for Hollow Knight? Anything else I should add? Oh, of course. I think one of the better parts of a platformer, especially an action platformer, especially in the form of a Souls-like type of game, is controls. And Hollow Knight has very tight controls. They're very responsive. Like, you jump, you go back, you go forth. So one thing that's important to me in any action platformer in general, but especially a platformer that has parry attacks, that has timing, that is responsive and intuitive in its own gameplay, is timing. So the controls have to be tight, and not also the timing has to be like accurate, but the ability to jump and then move left to right in that moment is very important. So in certain games, if you jump and then you go right, it's like this. It's like right, and then you go left, and then there's like a pause, or you kind of go forward and then you kind of glide backward. No, like, I like a game where it's, I jump left and I go right, and it's like this. As soon as I move the control stick, I go back. So I could go like this with the control stick, and I move with that. And I know games are intentionally made to not do that, but I think that makes a big difference in Hollow Knight, because you have the ability to pogo off enemies, which is your down attack. And because you can control your character very quickly and execute directional inputs immediately, it makes the gameplay more immersive and more tight. And I think that really is a standout in this particular game. Celestial Moth. SilkSong is a lie, it doesn't exist? The hell you call this then? We just making up trailers on the fly? You're saying this is fake? You guys can't see it. Hold on. Are you saying this is fake? Are you telling me this does not exist? How dare you? So who did this? Who decided to make a gameplay trailer of lies? You sit on a throne of lies. Who would do this? Who would manufacture a trailer for a game that doesn't exist and is never going to come out, with characters that already exist in this universe? It hasn't been 7 years. Well, maybe it's 7 years in development, but it's been announced for 5.5 years, which, if it has an announcement, it's been in development. So yes. I would agree. Maybe it's been in development for 7-8 years, but that's the thing about indie games, especially in a team that is only 3 people. It takes a long time to make a game. Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with you. Like, I don't disagree with you in the motion that, like, oh, it's a lie, it doesn't exist. I think the fact of the matter is, until we have a trailer with a release date, and I don't mean like what Cyberpunk did and Starfield, right? Starfield got delayed, and some of these other, like, even though those are AAA games, it's like, don't throw a trailer out and then throw a release date and then stamp it like this is when the game's coming out. Like, no, if you have true intentions of that game coming out and you really believe that that game's going to launch at that time, put it out there into the world. And then if things happen, and then if you're in development hell, then you just have to talk about it. But I don't like when developers, like, we won't know this, right? It's not going to be something they tell us. But if they're just throwing dates out there just to get the game out, just to get it hyped up, knowing that it's not going to come out for maybe 2 to 3 years, but it's like, yeah, it'll be out in 2024, December. And it's not going to be till like January 2026. Yeah, I know you were joking. I know you're joking. Part of the excitement, right, is to feed into the denial that we have and the hope that we cling on to, because we really do want this game to come out. I think one thing I like in Hollow Knight that it does very well is the game scales in difficulty, but it's not overly difficult in my opinion. And what's very challenging in a game is when you have an exploration game where you can almost go wherever you want based on the restrictions of abilities and doors, the abilities typically scale with the balancing of enemies and exploration. And Hollow Knight does a great job where you're not always overpowered, and at the same time, you're not necessarily underpowered. There are charms that you unlock. You end up searching for health and soul upgrades to help balance out the gameplay. But as a first-time player, and you're playing it blindly, it may be challenging. It definitely is for people that aren't used to platforming games. But it's not so challenging, in my opinion, that it forces you to do something that you don't want to do. Just naturally within the game, you want to get stronger. You want to look for secrets. You want to build experience, which you don't level up in this game, but you end up earning Geo to eventually upgrade your weapon, or buy an extra couple masks, or buy a soul upgrade, or buying some charms that eventually, well, you kind of buy charms, but you end up doing some type of trade sequence. So there's different things that allow you to progress in the game with the help of just exploration and then earning money. And then, like the Souls formula, if you end up dying, you lose your currency and you have to go back to the same spot to get it. But in this game, you end up having to destroy your shadow in order to earn that back. So there's a level of you have to earn your currency back. Like, you have to earn the ability to repent for your death, for messing up and dying. And then there's a hidden Coliseum. And then with the added content and the future updates, you have Nightmare Grim pack, which was a couple cheeky missions, but the Nightmare Grim boss fight is probably top 3 boss fights in the game for that DLC. And then you have, what did they call the final deal? God something, not God's Peak, I forget what they call it. The area at the end of the game where essentially you earn boss rush mode, and then there's different difficulties for that mode. Oh my gosh, I have to look it up. It's gonna bother me. Do they really call it God Master? I wouldn't have guessed that. Oh, God Home. So God Master is the name of the DLC, but God Home was the area in that DLC expansion. Yeah. And that boss rush mode was super fun and very challenging, especially when you're talking about Pantheon 5, where you have to do boss rush for all the bosses in the game. And not only that, some of them were harder. Some of them were a little bit more difficult. There was a couple mini bosses in that game, but it adds another layer of just extra content that is just fun and really exciting for players such as myself. And then it opens up even more if you did what I did, which is speedrun the game, which I was able to speedrun it under 40 minutes. Unfortunately, I don't have any proof of that because all the VODs disappeared because I didn't save them and I didn't back them up like an idiot. And then you could do the hitless challenge, which I did and just almost completed. But I had a moment where I got hit at the very end of the game. It was like 10 seconds away of completing hitless on that. And when you play a game for so long and you're good at it and you make the mistake the instant you make the mistake, but it doesn't actually show it on the screen yet, that's what happened to me. And I pretty much scream in agony and pain.
No! Fuck! Ow! Damn it!
Amongst anything else, I think Hollow Knight is a game that everybody should try. I know not everyone's going to like it. I know it is an acquired taste for those that are very picky about Metroidvania types of games, but I think Hollow Knight is a masterpiece. And I don't say that about very many games. Hollow Knight by far is a 10 for 10 masterpiece. And I hope SilkSong can do the same thing that it is. It's going to be very hard. And Hornet's a very liked character, even though you only see her a few times in Hollow Knight. It's going to be pretty awesome to play as that character.